Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 3 of the 2021 NOSSCAR World Championship on Gran Turismo Sport. We are here live at Circuit de Spa Francorchamps in Belgium for what is set to be an exciting Super Formula Car race, 60 minutes endurance, right here on Gran Turismo Sport. Even Steven, the two-time and defending NOSSCAR World Champion, starts on the pole for this race. I'm going to go ahead and turn off the display info just for now for the opening. And the green flag, the green lights are on, the green flag is waving, and we are set for a wild one in Belgium. Enzo, the Canadian, dives to the inside, contact is made, and it looks like he is going to take the race lead early in the going. These drivers are going to use the draft in two different key areas of this racetrack, as well as the push to pass button on their wheel. Donkey making his debut here in the NOSSCAR World Championship, runs in third, representing Team USA, as well as Bill Baldwin. Team France driver Beam SKP scored in fifth. He qualified there as well. Driver for Team Canada, Timac, scored in P6. Ketsubar runs in seventh. Silk Strider in eighth. Juicy J in ninth. And problems for Ketsubar. He goes off the racetrack. There was nearly contact made there with Ayrton. Ayrton was able to get through. 5 different countries represented here in this race, and there's contact again. Ketsubar and McLaren both bounced off each other, and Shadow is trying to get by both of these drivers without any further incident, and Ketsubar is going to pull off the racetrack, and it appears that he is done for the day. Meanwhile, back up front, even Steven, the pole sitter, has lost the lead. Enzo early in the going, still has a lot of time to get that back though. Again, 60-minute endurance race. These drivers are expected to make 1 or 2 pit stops, but I'm pretty sure that they're all going to be more leaning towards a one-stop strategy, pitting at about the 30-minute mark of this race. Beam SKP takes the third place position away from Bill Baldwin, but around goes Beam. He finds the inside wall coming out of the final turn, and he's going to lose his top 5 spot. Drop back to P7, maybe worse if he's got front-end damage to that machine. And that's a shame. It's a heartbreaker as well because it's a long circuit, and he spun and made contact with the wall at the furthest point away from pit road. And the battle for the lead is on. Enzo and even Steven. Turn on the race info to see where your favorite NOSSCAR World Championship driver is running. How about McLaren? Out of Slovakia, running in 10th place right now in the Alpine car. Ayrton James, the Team USA, running in 9th, fan favorite. Rolex 8 winner for the Super GT class, 2018 NOSSCAR World Champion Timac scored in 5th. Two-time NOSSCAR Super GT Series champion Bill Baldwin scored in 4th. Two-time and defending NOSSCAR World Champion Even Stevens scored in the runner-up spot. And Enzo, with 2 wins to start this season, is holding on to the race lead here in round 3 as of now. 2 laps are in the history books, and they've been both a little bit wild here. It's been a wild start to this race here in Belgium as these leaders work their way down the long stretch and through the chicane. Enzo overdrove just a little bit. Left sides hit that green strip, but it wasn't that bad. Didn't lose any time. And those green strips, folks, just a little bit to the outside of the yellow and red painted rumble strips. There's no grip on any of those green strips, so these drivers very much trying to avoid any type of contact with those. And as you can see, he used every bit of the yellow and red rumble strip. And then as soon as he got to the green, he knew that that was a little too hard, and He's hitting his marks and being smooth, Enzo is, and he's driving away slowly from Even Steven, who's currently scored in second. Oh, and problems for the two-time world champ. He got off into the rumble strip and the gravel trap just a little bit. It's going to allow Donkey and Bill Baldwin for Team USA to close in battle with Even Steven. They're coming up to the final chicane of the racetrack. There are two key straightaways where they can use the draft on this track, maybe even three in these Super Formula cars. It's the second race of our Spa Francorchamps doubleheader here on Gran Turismo Sport. GT Cup race was earlier tonight, and here we are with the Super Formula cars for round 3 of the NOSSCAR World Championship. It's a good battle for second, third, and fourth, and it's also a pretty good battle for the 5th and 6th positions. Timac in 5th, Siltstrider in 6th. Both are former NOSSCAR World Championship race winners, and that was back in 2018 when the season first debuted, the inaugural season on F1 2014 on the PlayStation 3 console. And now here we are in Gran Turismo Sport. PlayStation 4 console, both drivers still here and still representing their countries proud in the NOSSCAR World Championship many years later. Enzo definitely waving the Canada flag and carrying the torch for Team Canada here so far in this one, leading this race. Canadian drivers running in 1st and 5th. The American drivers running in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, 7th, and 9th. French driver running in 8th. The Slovakian scored in 10th. Excuse me, actually make that 9th as he has worked his way around Ayrton James. Distance between those two drivers about, I'd say about 11, 12 car lengths when they're on a straightaway. It's a good battle there for those two positions. Shadow, the last car on the racetrack in the Red Bull machine, scored in 11th. 13 drivers started the race, and they're all chasing Enzo. 2 drivers have pulled off the racetrack, but other than that, we've been pretty clean since the green lights turned on in Belgium. Ketsobar out of the Netherlands, out of the race. He'll finish in 13th. The Brazilian driver next is going to finish in 12th. And the leader working his way through turn 1 has a safe gap over Donkey and Even Steven. They run in the 2nd and 3rd positions for Team USA, and that's the closest battle to the front as of right now, and it's heating up actually. See, a little bit ago, Even Steven went over into the gravel trap and made a huge mistake, might have even worn his tires out a little bit in the process, and now he's trying to take that 2nd place position back, and he looks like he's going to do that on this long stretch as they head into the first chicane of the track. You can see Donkey trying to use the trap with Even Steven and get back to him before the chicane, but he wasn't able to quite do it. And now he overdrives, trying to stay with the 2-time world champ. Got into the green. And again, folks, there is no grip on that green strip. That's just a little bit up to the outside of all of these yellow and red rumble strips. So they're really trying to not go there. But every now and then you will see it because they are pushing these cars to their limits. And we should note, Siltstrider has made a pass and he has taken the 5th place position away from the Canadian Timac. Timac not showing the speed that he normally does. Normally finds himself running in these World Championship races anywhere typically between 3rd and 5th, and right now has dropped outside of the top 5, but the one thing going for him is it's a safe gap between he and the 7th place driver of Juicy J. Juicy just took that position away from Bean. Bean now drops back to 8th. He is the highest running driver out of France right now in today's event. McLaren from Slovakia runs in 9th, and Ayrton James rounds out the top 10. Round 3 of the 2021 NOSSCAR World Championship, 4th annual season for this series. 3 years in a row we've been here for it on Gran Turismo Sport, and for the last, for the last 2 years before this one, it was Even Steven that really put the whooping on the competition. Was head and shoulders faster than the competitors around him, won the most races, and he was able to crown the world champion. in 2019 and 2020. And this year, he's expecting no different. But it's Enzo for Team Canada that's given him quite the run for his money so far. 2 races complete, and both wins went to the driver for Team Canada. And it's been a very impressive debut for Donkey. He's currently scored in the 3rd place position and the 2nd highest running driver for Team USA. And how it works for the Nations battle here for this year's World Championship, the top 3 finishers in every race from each country will contribute points towards the Nations battle. And it appears it's going to be a very tight battle between Team USA and Team Canada. Team France has put all of their bets, all of their money, all of their funding and trust into Beam SKP, and he is the sole leader for Team France. McLaren, the first driver for Team Slovakia to debut this year. Several drivers for Team Brazil entering part-time as the season goes along, trying to find the funding and sponsorship. And drivers for Team Great Britain doing the same. The gap is only increasing between the top 2 at this point. We are over 13 minutes through the 3rd race of the season. 60-minute endurance races, folks, and no custom tuning to these cars. And of course, as many of you know, if you play Gran Turismo Sport, these are Super Formula cars, Honda or Toyota. And both are very evenly matched. They are completely the same, and there is no advantage when it comes to these cars. It's all about the driver versus driver. And so far, Enzo is getting the advantage. He's led every lap since the green lights turned on here in Belgium. 10 laps complete in this 60-minute endurance race, and he is looking strong at Circuit de Spa Francorchamps. And problems for Donkey. We were just talking about him. Donald Keys. Gonna drop back now to the 9th place position, 8th rather. He's gonna stay in front of Ayrton, and that's an unscheduled pit stop for him. And it came at a very bad time. It's not that close to the halfway mark of this race yet. And in order for him to make it to the end of this race on the 1 stop, like I think many of these drivers are going to do, he's going to have to save 42 minutes of fuel for this run. And I don't know if he's even capable of doing that in a Super Formula car. And even then, the tires after 42 minutes are definitely not going to be in great shape, that is for sure. Time will tell if Donkey can make a run back towards the leaders. He was running in 3rd when he made that pit stop, and it's definitely going to hinder his results here in today's race because, like I said, I believe that these drivers are looking at a one-stop strategy. Even Steven running in 2nd. There you see him. Bill Baldwin running in 3rd. And Timac, the Canadian, has actually taken the 4th place position back from Silk Strider. I didn't see exactly what happened to Strider, but the gap is actually quite significant. There is no immediate battle there for that position. And now Beam SKP is going to surrender a top 10 position and bring it on to pit road. Remember, he spun on lap 2 and made contact with the inside wall at the front of that car and probably suffered some damage in the process. he got a little bit closer to the halfway mark of the race, and that might have been by design, folks. Might have been trying to get as close as he can so he can make this on a one-stop deal. And what a difference a couple of laps can make. Timac a few laps ago was found in the 6th place position or 7th place position and not looking very competitive. And now, after a couple of drivers have made significant mistakes in this race, he finds himself up there in P4 and knocking on the door of a podium. He's only got one of those so far this season in the first 2 races before this one. He finished 3rd at Willow Springs and then 7th this last week. He's definitely looking for a rebound if he wants to compete for the World Championship this year. It'd be his first World Championship since 2018 if he can accomplish it, but he's definitely going to need to go through Enzo, and he's definitely going to need to go through even Steven, the 2-time and defending NOSSCAR World Champion. Speaking of 2-time champions, there's the 2-time NOSSCAR Super GT Series champion, Bill Baldwin. That being in the GR1 cars, driving Audi R18s and so forth. Toyota TSO 50s, Toyota TSO 30s, and cars that are a little bit closer to a prototype than these ones. McLaren, the Slovakian driver, scored an 11th, is moving over to let the race leader go by. It's his first race of the season. 13 drivers started the race, 16 drivers being credited with points towards the championship. All things considered, not a bad debut for McLaren. He's still on the racetrack and logging laps. He's only 1 lap down, and he's knocking on the door of a top 10 finish. These drivers are approaching the halfway mark of this race, so I believe we are going to expect a lot of them on pit road. In fact, even Steven on pit road already, and this is definitely a strategy move to try to leapfrog Enzo after the cycle of pit stops and maybe take the race lead for the first time in this race. It's weird to say. The pole sitter has not led a lap in this race, and that's exactly what's going on here for even Steven. It's a wild move. Lap 1, turn 1, Enzo gets to the inside of even Steven and took the lead. There was a little bit of contact made, but no official penalty given. And since then, he's been driving away slowly but surely. So this is definitely an effort by even Steven to cut into that lead just a little bit. Maybe even take the lead back. There's Donkey. Remember, had that problem earlier and needed to make a pit stop at the 18-minute mark. Currently scored in the 6th place position. Trying to come back a little bit from that. He fell back to 8th, and since then he's been able to work his way around his Team USA teammates, Ayrton James and Juicy J. Now they are scored in the 7th and 8th place positions. Ayrton, a Triple Crown winner in NOSSCAR on the NASCAR Heat Games, holding a win in the NOSSCAR Platinum Cup Series, Motormaster Series, and the Tailgate Truck Series. And look at to spread that success over here to Gran Turismo Sport. Another Triple Crown winner in today's event, that is Shadow in the Red Bull machine, currently scored in 10th, holds wins in Platinum Cup, Motormaster, and Tailgate Truck Series as well. Team SKP, 2 Tailgate Truck Series wins in his career on the NASCAR Heat Games. Juicy J, NOSSCAR Legend Series race winner on NASCAR Heat 5. Former champion on NASCAR 15 in NOSSCAR. Currently scored in 7th. These drivers have been around in NOSSCAR for years, and they gather every year for the NOSSCAR World Championship. The best of the best, the former champions, the cream of the crop, folks. They come here every year for these super formula cars and give it their all to be crowned world champion. And for now, Enzo is in the lead. Bill Baldwin scored in 2nd, Timac running in 3rd, and they are yet to make their scheduled pit stop in this race, and problems for Siltstrider. I can't quite tell where this is on the racetrack right now. He was off course and in the grass and couldn't get the car going again. He's going to lose the 4th place position to Even Steven, who's already made his scheduled pit stop. But we might see Strider come to pit road this time by. He's definitely got some front end damage. He's wiggling the car around a little bit to see how bad it is, and he's also trying to clean those tires off. Donkey's going to take P5. I believe the Donkey's going to need to make an extra pit stop in this race. He pitted the 18-minute mark, and I don't know if he's going to make it all the way to the end on such an early pit stop in this race. Might need to come in again and top off his fuel. And problems for Timac. The 2018 NOSSCAR World Champion goes off course and completely straight and head on into the wall while running in P3. Lap 15 has been a lightning bolt of problems for Silk Strider and now for Timac, 2 former race winners in the NOSSCAR World Championship back in 2018 for both of them. And now they find themselves in 4th and 6th, and with a lot of damage. Timac is going to bring that car to pit road. Don is going to stay on the racetrack and take over P4. And you got to wonder, yeah, Silk Strider just brought his car to pit road as well, so repairs are going to be underway for both of these teams. Going to take over 4th. Juicy J is going to join those 2 drivers on pit road, and Enzo has retaken the race lead. Actually, rather, he is still maintaining the race lead. Bill Baldwin in 2nd. The top 2 yet to make their scheduled pit stops of the race, and Even Steven first in line amongst the drivers who have, and he runs in P3. He pit at the 25-minute mark in hopes that it was going to be a wise strategy call to leapfrog Enzo and take the race lead, or at least get him close enough so maybe he can use the draft on the 2 long straightaways. Enzo on pit road for scheduled service. He had a large lead over the rest of the field, so he elected to stay out a couple of extra laps, figuring it wouldn't burn him. And now brings it to pit road. He's going to top it up with fuel and take this car to the end. Less than 27 minutes remaining in this race, and the race lead is going to go to the Godfather, Bill Baldwin. It'll be the first lap of the race that he has led. And he's still looking for that first ever NOSSCAR World Championship race win. He's come close many times, stood on the podium many times, hoping that today here in Belgium that it's going to be his day, his breakout performance here in these Super Formula cars. He's got a good chance. He's been running strong along with Enzo and Even Steven. We saw Don up there having a solid day as well until he had his problems. We're not sure if he's going to make it to the end of the race on the fuel and tires that he has in that 4th place position. Bill's going to lead a 2nd lap, and you can see Enzo, the Canadian, closing in, and that's going to be a battle for position. And you still need to keep in mind that Bill needs to make a pit stop still. So it just kind of gives you an idea on how big the gap might be once Bill finally comes to pit road. I don't think he will be within striking distance of the race leader to battle for the win in this one. Don is on pit road. Our suspicions, our theories, they were correct. Don was unable to make it to the end of the race on the fuel and tires that he had. He comes off pit road in the 4th place position, just in front of the 2018 World Champ, Timac, and just behind the 2-time NOSSCAR World Champion, Even Steven. He's the meat in the World Champion's sandwich, if you will. Strider running in 6th, and he's actually gaining a lot of ground on Timac. And it might be because he's got Beam just behind him, gaining ground as well. So Strider might be trying to get away from Beam and hold on to that valuable point. Beam knows that he's the highest running French driver for this season here in the World Championship, and for the Nations Battle, every point counts if he wants to catapult them up the Nations Battle standings. Actually, Juicy J not too far behind these drivers either. So 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th are very much undecided at this point with 23 minutes remaining. And the Godfather, Bill Baldwin, on pit road in the number 21. Allow Enzo to take the lead back, and even Steven is going to take 2nd. Bill Baldwin down and away, and he is going to hold on to the 3rd place position. Don is going to have to hang on to 4th for the time being. The gap is actually still quite large between those two drivers. The top 3 have really separated themselves from the rest of the field. They seem to be in a bit of a league of their own, and even Steven is only a couple of corners behind our race leader at this juncture of the race with under 20 minutes remaining in Belgium. The closest battle to the front as of now is the one for 4th and 5th between Don and Timac, and around goes Don Keys. We'll see what happened here. It's in the long swinging left-hand turn, which was a problem corner for a lot of drivers in the GT Cup race earlier, and he got into the green rumble strip that's just outside of the legal red and yellow rumble strip. And as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast and throughout this race, there is no grip on those green strips that are just outside of the race course. And he went around in a hurry. He's going to lose the 4th place position to Timac, and he's also going to drop completely outside of the top 5. So Strider looking to hang on for the 5th and final spot in the top 5. Beam SKP, driver out of France, moves into P6, and Jeffrey Robinson Jr., former NOSSCAR champion on NASCAR 15, he's gaining a lot of ground on these two drivers. Whoa, and Beam had the same problem as Don just a moment ago. Got the car off into that slippery green rumble strip. Juicy J trying to jump to the bottom. It's a battle between the two purple cars for that 6th and 7th position. And it looks like the French phenom Beam is going to surrender and yield a little bit to the faster approaching Juicy J and maybe gather himself up a little bit after that slip that he had in the swinging left-hand turn. It's been a problem corner for this double header weekend, especially for the GT Cup cars. And that race earlier today was won by this driver right here, Even Steven. He was driving an Audi R8. He's got a couple of wins this year in that car. He is the defending and reigning NOSSCAR GT Cup Series champion, looking to grab another one of those. That is the GR3 class cars. You'll see the Mazda Atenzas and Dodge Vipers and Nissan GTRs and the Chevy Corvettes and more in that series. And we can confirm that Don Keys has just pulled his car off of the racetrack, and it appears that he is done for the day. A couple of drivers we should mention here. There's a good battle for 9th between these two. Shadow for Team USA holding on in the Red Bull car, and McLaren from Slovakia in the Alpine car right behind them scored in 10th. 13 drivers started this race, 16 drivers being credited with points. And they are all chasing Enzo, driver for Team Canada. The nation's battle, top 3 drivers from each country in every race acquire points towards the nation's battle for their country. So in this case, folks, Even Steven, Bill Baldwin, and Siltstrider would collect those points for the nation's battle and they would earn the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th place points for their country. Team Canada is going to take 1st and 4th out of this one. Team France will take the 7th place points. And Team Slovakia will score points for the first time this season here in the 2021 NOSSCAR World Championship. Under 10 minutes remaining. Enzo is really the first driver to dethrone Even Steven here in the NOSSCAR World Championship since 2019. Even Steven, a perfect season for the 2020 World Championship. 3 different races, and all 3 victories went to the driver of the 15. And this year, the first 2 races of the season belong to Enzo, and he's looking to make it 3 in a row to begin his quest for the 2021 NOSSCAR World Championship. Under 9 minutes remaining until he makes that happen, and he's got a very safe distance over Even Steven. He could maybe even make a pit stop at this juncture and still hang on to the race lead. That's how impressive Enzo has been here today in Belgium. And again, folks, this is round 3 of 7 for the 2021 NOSSCAR World Championship on Gran Turismo Sport. We are live here from Circuit de Spa Francorchamps. 4 more remaining after this one until we crown a NOSSCAR World Champion for a 4th consecutive year and 3rd consecutive year on Gran Turismo Sport. You can see how Enzo is driving this track. There's no signs of slowing down or taking it easy. He's using every inch of this track until his car is going to go out and reach those green rumble strips. And he just seems so comfortable. His car looks so relaxed, but at the same time looks very fast. And he's using every inch of this racetrack. Problems for the French phenom. Beam had to make an extra pit stop here towards the end of this race. It's currently scored in 7th now as a result. Came out just behind the lap machine of McLaren out of Slovakia. And Beam is going to surrender a lot of ground to the drivers running 5th and 6th. He was not too far behind him. In fact, it was a nice battle for the 5th, 6th, and 7th positions between Juicy J and Siltstrider and Beam, and now it's kind of settled down a little bit. In fact, it's more of a battle between Timac and Juicy J for the 4th and 5th positions. Might be the closest battle towards the front in this race with under 4 minutes remaining in Belgium. Drivers all running anywhere from 153 to 157 lap times. Some of the drivers that have made contact with the wall earlier in this race are now running some 158s out there and some 159s, but pretty much all lap times under the 2-minute mark for these drivers. They are flying around this long, technical, and challenging circuit. A lot of elevation changes, a couple of blind turns, those really slick green rumble strips waiting for you just outside of the red and yellow rumble strips. There's a lot going on here in Belgium, and a lot of challenges come with racing at Circuit de Spa Francorchamps. These drivers, for the most part, have done a great job ever since the green lights turned on. And the clock is at 0, folks. It's going to be official this time by 3 wins in a row to begin the 2021 NOSSCAR World Championship. Enzo does it again, this time here in Belgium. It's going to be a little while until we see even Steven for Team USA make his way through the final couple of corners. Here he comes just behind Beam SKP. The top 5 drivers will all finish on the lead lap in this one. And even Steven will stand on the podium again here in the World Championship. Bill Baldwin, final few corners for him as well. He'll be the 3rd and final driver on the podium here today at Circuit de Spa Francorchamps. He stood on the podium earlier today for the GT Cup Series race as well. A strong run for the Godfather. 3rd place in Belgium. And while we wait for Timac and Juicy J to come around and claim those 4th and 5th place positions, we want to thank all the viewers for tuning in here for round 3 of the NOSSCAR World Championship, 4th annual season for the NOSSCAR World Championship, and 3rd annual season we've been here on Gran Turismo Sport. Keep your eye on the NOSSCAR Series Racing YouTube channel for more action coming your way. And for now, folks, we're saying so long and stay fast.